NC hip hop changed my life in a major way.
What's hip hop mean to me? Hip hop is everything. It's literally everything. I became immersed in this culture very young. Like, it's all I know. Like the elements, uh, the vibe, the lyrics. Like the legends that I grew up listening to influenced my daily life. Like hearing Rakim's lyrics motivated me. You know what I'm saying? To want more. Hearing KRS-One made me more aware. You know what I'm saying? Like hearing Public Enemy made me more aware. You know what I'm saying? Like the things that I was seeing, Nas was writing. You know what I'm saying? Like even the environment that he was in, being able to learn through different environments, just through the MCs that were around me. You know what I'm saying? Like sharing their stories. Hip hop itself, the culture is powerful. You know what I'm saying? Um, the the love and respect that I have for it, it really makes me um, really emotional about it because I care so much about the actual culture. The ciphers at NC State were started because we wanted to go against everything that was kind of going on at the time. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to take things back to that essence and back to the culture because that's pretty much all we cared about. So my purpose in this, I believe, was not, even though I love to MC, my purpose in this was to push the culture forward. That's all I ever wanted to do. Because I wanted people to get that same vibe. Like when I perform, that energy, you know what I'm saying? Like you're on stage and there's people that are listening to you rhyme and they're feeling you because either you're sharing your story, but it's relatable to them as well. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe they just, I need a day that's just like, or a time to just let everything go and you providing that moment. That's energy being shared. That's what hip hop is. Hip hop is energy. You know what I'm saying? It's not black, it's not white, it's not um, it's so dynamic in itself that it encompasses everything. And I don't know, man. It's literally like breathing air for the first time every time. That's the best way to put it. That's gonna be the best way to put it. Like the forefathers that started it, you know what I'm saying? Kool Herc and Africa Bambaataa and Grandmaster Flash. I mean, like the forefathers and the pioneers. Um, there's no way to know. There was no way for them to know the influence that they were going to have and the lives that they were going to see because of that. The darkest periods of my life, um, the culture and the music is what brought me back from the abyss. You see, like there's a song on Aquemini, Outkast's album, Aquemini, called Liberation. That was in a dark period. And I just remember playing that song on repeat. And literally feeling like I could breathe better. You know what I mean? Like the meditation, you know what I mean? I was meditating while I was listening to it, and it literally made me feel lighter. You know, I felt like things like weight just being lifted. And that's the power of that. You know what I'm saying? That album, that music, that vibe, that's hip hop. Right? I love it. That's all there is to it. MCing was like my outward expression of it. I love the MC. Been doing that since I was 8. But at the end of the day, it's about pushing the culture forward. If I never rap another verse, if I left my mark on the culture and in some way pushed it forward, that's worth it for me. And the friendships that I've gained through that, my 1100 brothers, everything. This is lifelong. This is our connection through hip hop that literally drew us together. And that's a lifelong. You know what I'm saying? That's something, again, a testament to how powerful that is. Something that powerful created that type of vibe between us that linked us together that made a lifetime like brotherhood. That's hip hop.
It was about 2009, 9, I started going out to hip hop shows in Raleigh and in Durham and Chapel Hill. And I was looking to become a hip hop artist. I was a wordsmith, I was a poet, but I went to, poetry slams or open mics, and I wrote it out. I had a little wave doing that, but I realized that my main love was hip hop, and I wanted to write rhymes and spit rhymes and perform rhymes. And so I started finding that in the people I really gravitated to, who were real expert craftsmen, lyricists, and raw performers, was the 1100 Hunter crew. Mike Live really took me under his wing. Ghost Dog, Tucson befriended me, and before you know it, I'm rocking with them, and then they started the Cypher, and that changed my life, because the Cypher was what I really wanted. And it was an open venue. There was no stage, no mics, no lights, no speakers. It was just raw, organic culture. And that was when I knew that I found what I was looking for. And the Cypher put me in touch with a lot of things. It gave me something that I could believe in, and then it gave me opportunities. I pursued those opportunities and wrote it out, and man, the Cypher changed my life. It gave me a place I could really express myself and also have some sense of leadership. And I formed some lifelong friendships. People I've been friends with now for a decade, who are solid friends, man. Like, they're my brothers and sisters, what I'm saying? It's beautiful. And, the Cypher, my son popped out the Cypher. Got a whole life out the Cypher. My legacy came out the Cypher. And the Cypher also put me in touch with, North Carolina hip hop across the map. We started connecting with people all over the place. And yeah. I mean, to this day, I would say there has been nothing else in my life that has had that effect. That a decade later, I'm still going back every Monday, end up freestyling my heart out, saying, embarrassing myself, saying the most craziest things, just because that's how the Cypher gets me. It gets me to a moment of ecstasy, and where I feel like I emptied out my soul, and I feel refreshed every Monday. And then, like, just meeting the cast of characters in MC Hip Hop, it's you have to be in it to know how dope it is. And it really is that dope. Like, North Carolina is something special, and these other places don't even know what we got going on. It's that fire. Like, I mean, just to be a part of it is the utmost blessing.
So, hip hop has always been a part of my life in some way, shape, or form, even going back, when I was a kid, hit my brother up for his Fat Boys and Run DMC tapes, so it's always been a soundtrack. Early on, passively, as I matured and as I grew and evolved, hip hop grew with me, and it took on more of an active role in guiding me in some ways, my parents were really conservative. So, like, my access to hip hop was limited to what I could pilfer, So my brother, when my brother got sick of me hitting him up for his Fat Boys tapes, I used to literally, that shit would get missing. You know, my brother come through, man, where my shit at? You know, and we get into a little scuffle maybe, you know, and I do it again next week. And eventually my father got so tired of me hitting my bro for his Fat Boys and Run DMC King of Rock. He got me my own copy of Raising Hell, which was huge. My pops, man, he was very conservative. Both my parents were born in the 40s, you know, so they ain't understand hip hop. They just knew that for the love of God, let's get him his own thing so he could stop bothering this boy. These are things that planted a seed. See him breaking for the first time and trying to do freaking hand spins and knee spins and back spins on the carpet, not understanding that I needed cardboard to keep a lot of rug burn from happening. A lot of rug burn actually happened, bro. And they had a record player in the house. So another thing I used to get in trouble for was I would try to scratch on a regular record player with their records. It took one time fucking up Cool in the Gang and catching that ass whooping, you know, for me to learn my lesson on that one. But so that's me not understanding that you need special equipment to be able to DJ and crossfade and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, hip hop's been in my life in some way, shape, or form. Up through the first time my dad got me my first Run DMC, up through the first time he got me, you know, the Fresh Prince of Jazzy Jeff, he's the DJ, I'm the rapper, until, you know, my early teens when I was able to start my own journey, you know, and get my own CDs and stuff of that nature. So, you know, like that's when I got turned on to like KRS-One and, you know, like I got turned on to Ice Cube and the NWAs and Ghetto Boys and Dots Effects, Onyx, you know, you name it, Redman, you name it. You know, I remember the first time I spazzed out the Scenario video. First time I seen it in middle school, I was in 6th grade. I did not learn to fully appreciate the gravity of the Public Enemies and the KRSs until I was an adult. And the reason I say that is, yeah, man, like I got turned on to Jack of Spades at the end of the I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. I didn't know who BDP was at that time. Later on, I heard Return of the Boom Bap. And that was my real true introduction to KRS. And then it came to my attention like, oh, that's the dude that was rocking at the end of I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Yeah, and that's when I started keeping up with him. You know, like I going from my early teens to my later teens, you know, start running with the wrong crowd. You know, that's my rambunctious days. I refer to somewhat semi-jokingly as my knucklehead days, but I really was a bit of a knucklehead. You know, you go out looking for your surrogate family out there. You know, Mobb Deep and Capone Noriega was the soundtrack to my life at those times in my life. Remember the first time I seen the Shook Ones video. So that's what I mean. At this point, it's still a passive soundtrack. It reflects the things that I'm going through, you know, in my life. Now, coming out the other end of my knucklehead days, I spent some time in Asheville, you know, like I got in my last little bit of trouble, did some jail time, found myself doing some years of intensive probation, you know, over there, and I found myself in a halfway house and a program associated with it to help me straighten myself out. It got me in school, you know, and the program directors, man, like they knew I was into hip hop, and they're like, hey, man, let me turn you on to this. What he tried to turn me on to at the time was Talib Kweli and High Tech, Reflection Eternal. Well, he turned me on to that blast because it was all over the radio at the time. You know, you pronounce the name Kweli, you know what I mean? Like that was the jam, you know? But to me, man, that was like, it's borderline commercial. It was soft, you know? I was still in my knucklehead kind of mode. And this can tell you how it helped me to transition, because this is the tail end of my knucklehead days, right? I come out of it, you know, like when he tried to turn me on to Talib Kweli, the blast, I'm just like, yeah, it's whatever. Maybe about a year, maybe some months later, year later, like, you know, it's when I'm really coming into my own and I'm realizing, you know, I'm not doing so much following, you know, the cats around the streets. I'm really getting into kind of learning about myself and what made me tick or why I do the things I do. And it's also me seeing the dead end and the loop and the feedback loop that I was getting myself into. And I knew, man, I had friends that were dying around me. I had friends that were getting locked up for like stupid amounts of time. And I'm like, man, like I'm just going to end up just like these dudes, you know? So this is when I start learning, you know, and kind of doing some soul searching. This is when I learned about meditation. This is when it was Dead Prez, Let's Get Free, that actually, you know, gave me the courage to pursue martial arts. Now, here's the thing. I grew up with a love for martial arts. My brother turned me on to my first Kung Fu theater on Saturday morning on USA. He turned me on to my first ninja flicks. You know, so the love for martial arts has always been there. When Wu-Tang dropped in '93, it made it popular. The shit that we do, that I came out like, you know, watching on TV, and I'm thinking I'm like the only one up on it. But now it's become pop culture cool, you know, to be up on the Kung Fu flick. So that solidified that. But what gave me the courage to actually start my own martial arts journey was some lines on psychology from Dead Prez, Let's Get Free. They say karate means empty hands, so then it's perfect for a poor man. I'm like, wow. And, you know, you see that these cats are serious about talking about disarming techniques and stuff of that nature. So it's like, wow, they're really doing it. So that was the first time that I saw it was acceptable for someone to look like me to actively pursue martial arts. So there's that. On the other side of things, just as I thought, you know, like, you know, yeah, quality is whack, whatever, you know, or not whack, but just outside, you know. But one day it literally just clicked for me. You know, at the time I'm living in, you know, I'm still in the halfway house, 3/4 house. Technically, I live in the halfway house, but I'm really staying at my best friend Tweety. You know, that was my road dog, my partner in crime. That's, man, we rolled, man, like boot camp at Wu-Tang and Capone Noriega. That was the soundtrack to our life. You know what I mean? Like the way we got down. You know, but during this time, he's doing a bid, and he asked me to look over his seed and his baby mom's because she could get into some shit. So me, the homies, the crew, you know, we got our own little clique and everything like that. We're always just, you know, one of us is always over there just making sure to keep things in line and make sure everything was cool. And you never get any kind of peace of mind. It's always people yelling, running, screaming, crying, the kid, you know, like all kind of stuff. The only way that I ever got any kind of peace in that house was this back closet, little cubby hole where I would sit with a Walkman and just zone. And one day I just reached over and grabbed the nearest tape to me. It turns out that his baby mom's had a copy. I didn't know this at the time, but it was High Tech and Quality of Reflection Eternal. I ain't know this. I just put the tape in the Walkman. That in this journey, yeah, the journalist, that joint came on, and it just clicked. And I'm just back there just zoning to this tape, and I'm like, what is this, man? It's the dopest shit ever. And it turns out, you know, I hear the song The Blast come on, you pronounce the name Quality. It's like, oh, and suddenly that came full circle. So for me, I had to reach a maturity in my mind to where that made sense. But that turned out to be one of the most pivotal albums in my transition to who I am as a man today. Talib Kweli and High Tech Reflection Eternal, KRS, The Sneak Attack, Dead Prez, Let's Get Free. Those three albums were pivotal in my transformation because that's me learning about myself, coming into myself, learning peace, learning to seek, you know, answers in myself. But now I've got this voice guiding me in hip hop, man, dropping these jewels, and now I understand. Well, to the level that I can understand it, because even today I get deeper understandings of things that I understood, you know, even back then. So, man, yeah, hip hop has played a pivotal role. Now in my adult life, since the Cedar got planted early for like the KRSs and, you know, the Public Enemies, now I'm going back and listening to things that I listened to in the late 80s, early 90s with no life experience to go behind it. So now I've seen the discrimination Chuck D's talk about and how I've had to work 2-3 times as harder. You know, some of the concepts and politics and the things that he's had to deal with. The seed was planted early for me in my early teens. When I was in my 20s and 30s and living and actually having an encounter where they would talk about, man, that drove it home for me. So that says ahead how it's influenced me and how it's been a soundtrack and how it's helped to shape me. Now there's an added, you know, element or layer to it for me as an MC, because now it's gone from being a passive soundtrack as a head to being an active guide as a head to now, like I talk about being therapeutic, it's been therapeutic throughout, but now as an MC, it's somewhat of the soundtrack to my life when I write, because man, like I channel the things that I'm going through in my life into some of those songs, man, and it really helps me to work through them in my mind. I live some of the inequalities that I see, and now I have the pen and the actual platform, and now having gone back and gone from just having fun listening to hip hop and now being, having gone down this journey and being a student of the culture, it takes on a different context, man.
Yo, what's up? I'm Sammy, DJ Sammy Automatic, representing the 919. You feel me? So yeah, hip hop's had a huge impact on me as a person and just my career, and my financial stability as a DJ. My income was based on hip hop, man, and the kind of music that was out, growing up, being born out in LA and coming up on, Dre, Snoop, Death Row Records shit, especially in the early 90s, we had it on lock. We had the hip hop game on lock. When I was at NC State playing on KNC, that's really what opened me up to, more of the East Coast hip hop, like Big L, Killer Army, Wu-Tang, of course, everybody knows them. But I started doing the underground on KNC. It was from 12 to 2 a.m. I would haul my record crates to the third floor. I think it was on the third floor. Yeah, each crate one by one, and I'm talking about, this is before the computers and all that shit, And then that kind of opened up the doors to a lot of local open mic nights, rap battles. I was entering DJ battles at that time. This was around 2000, 2001, 2002. Yeah, I'm a fucking dinosaur. I'm old. But yeah, I was doing the rap battles were super entertaining back then. I haven't heard of any rap battles popping like it was then. This is when hip hop was really hip hop. It was different. I haven't heard of any mumble rap battles lately, but but Big Daddy Kane, a North Carolina native, we have some talented artists, J. Cole, but on a local level, shouts out to Mike Savvy, Tucson, Ghost Dog, the list goes on. There's a lot of talented hip hop artists out here, but what it really did for me, other than me getting financially, or it helping me out financially on a mental level, it brought a lot of us together, and being the DJ, I feel like we set the vibe for a lot of the events that go on, whether it was an open mic night or just a straight party. I think the best thing about hip hop is that it can wake you up, it can put you to sleep, it can make you happy, angry, joyful. There's a ton of different emotions that different artists can create or make you experience. So yeah, hip hop in the 919, hip hop in Raleigh, Ninth Wonder is out here. We have some talent. I love what I do. From a DJ, it's great. But yeah, Sammy Automatic, I'm out. Peace.
Honest, being from New York and coming down to North Carolina, I think one of the best things about the music was I was able to meet and network with a lot of people just from, just freestyling and just conversation about music. It's something about music that brings the best out of people, and sometimes the worst, but, if you allow it to, just like any superpower, it can bring out the best in anybody. And then that's, one of the things that I feel like makes people so passionate about it is because it is a language of its own. And growing up how I grew up, not having my, my dad around as often as I wanted, I spent a lot of time at home. And that time that I spent at home just made me want to be out more because it was so stressful, so much drama going on at home. I was like, man, this ain't for me. So I took that energy and put it out in the street and put it out in the neighborhoods that, I was hanging out in, with the people I was hanging out with. And even to this day, that's one of the things that has always stuck with me is that I found family out here in the neighborhood. I found family out here in the street. And so that family is full of people that I've personally been able to say are loyal people and they love the music as much as I do, as passionate about it as I am. And that's the best thing about it.
For me, defining moments in hip hop was when I got to ECU, ran into these ill MCs, grassroots organization, and I just remember there was this open mic every other Monday night at Peasants, and Merlin was the DJ, and a lot of the times, he would just be wanting to spin, and a lot of the MCs would be wanting to rhyme, and he was like, nah, I'm just spinning tonight. But one night I was just in there chilling, and I went up to Merlin, whatever, dapped him up, whatever, all that good stuff, and went back to the bar, whatever, and I was just chilling, and a little bit later, Merlin came over to me, and he was like, yo, Wood, you gonna rock the mic? And I was just kind of surprised, because it was always this hassle over him wanting to spin versus letting MCs rock the mic, and they would always be aggravated with him because they wanted to rock the mic. And then for him to come up to me and say, Wood, hey, you gonna rock the mic tonight or what? And I was just like kind of shocked. Like that just kind of made me realize just a certain respect that a respected DJ had for me. And I was grateful for that. I ain't gonna go into too much there, the stories with Grassroots and Merlin, but big ups to the Grow Logo, GO, Grassroots organization. And probably one of the most defining moments was Tupac and the Biggie thing. I was sitting on my bed, still at ECU. I was studying, and I looked up at the TV, and it had Tupac on the screen. It was like, pretty much, he's dead. And I was like, wow. And this is music. And it was just different, realizing that somebody was dying over beef, but the beef was, music was a part of the beef, and that was real funny. He had just, Machiavelli had just dropped, and the DJ at the spot I was at, he was drunk. I mean, he was just drunk beyond whatever. And so he was wilding out, and the bouncers drug him out pretty much. And this one DJ was there, Peanut was there. I don't remember if y'all know Peanut from ECU. I don't know who's ECU or not, but Green Villain. And so they let him DJ because they had to drag the original DJ out because he was so drunk. But I just remember he played, I can't remember what the song, but the realest shit I ever wrote. No, I don't know if it was that. Nah, it was a joint Man, what's the name of that man? Where he was just straight dissing Biggie, you know. Well, anyway, it came to the end of the song, you know, and he was playing the unedited version, and he was like, "If you down with Bad Boy, fuck you too." Blah 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 blah. You know the song where he's going off, and just to see that, you know, this is like probably a top 40 club, and the DJ's playing the raw Tupac version of this Biggie diss, and it's like the crowd is frozen. I mean, frozen, and it just amazed me that music had done this, and I understood what music can do, because just to see that crowd for that moment in time, hearing these vocals coming out of the mic so powerfully and so aggressively, and it froze them all. Even me, I was frozen. The bouncers were rushing to the DJ booth to turn this music off because it was just so powerful that it had stopped everything. And that's when I understood what the effects of music. And that's why I try to keep my words as true as possible. If I'm telling a story from the second or third perspective, that's cool. But for the most part with me, it's like, I understand that the words mean so much. You know, and for the most part, it'll say, as far as the culture goes, it's the words can be used in a real positive way or a negative way. You know, in a lot of music, sometimes it's just having fun. But speaking back on Tupac sometimes, and Biggie, rest in peace to both, it's not fun. You know? But that's what it's supposed to be, and to me, I try to remember that, and then also remember you can put something positive out there, put something negative out there. And that's the energy, you know, that people are receiving. You know, peace and blessings.